Today is iPhone Day. Every single year in September, Apple releases a new phone, and this year I managed to get my hands on the iPhone 15 Pro Max in natural titanium. Queuing for this at 10 to 8 in the morning, people were in that queue hoping to buy one there and then. They were not able to buy one. This thing is sold out everywhere completely. So let's not squander this for those people that haven't got one. Let's take our time. This is also my first Pro Max phone I've ever owned. I've never owned a full-size Max version, but this year with the 5x telephoto lens on it, and down to personal preference, this year I went for the Pro Max. And I also still have the iPhone 14 Pro, so we will be comparing the iPhone 14 Pro cameras with the iPhone 15 Pro Max cameras. I'm going to try and be silent during this because, let's face it, the most satisfying part of buying an iPhone is unboxing it. So let's get this mic pointed right at it. Here we go. Oh my! There is something on the main camera lens. It won't move, and I don't want to touch it. I don't want to get the first fingerprint on the lens. There it is, that natural titanium USB-C on the bottom. Oh, USB-C cable. The cable is braided as well. So here it is. This is the iPhone 15 Pro Max in natural titanium. Not a lot of people are talking about this for some reason, and I don't get why, but the bezels are thinner on the screen. Like, they're not as thick as they were on the 14 Pro and Pro Max. So technically, I suppose you could say you're getting a bigger screen, or maybe a smaller device size with the same size screen. Because this is made of stainless steel and this is made of titanium, titanium's lighter than stainless steel. And the Pro feels like the same way, if not this feels lighter than this. Even though this probably isn't, but it just feels nice and airy, well distributed. So we also have the new action button on the side. This can be used for various amounts of things. I spoke to a guy in the queue for his phone. He said he was going to map it so that he could open his home front door with Siri shortcuts. Personally, me, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I liked it as a ringer, so but I'll tell you something, it feels really nice. It does. The titanium is such a nice, smooth feel. It's not sticky. It's not like weird. And that color, the natural titanium, oh, it's so nice. I don't know if you can notice, but I've just painted all my walls Earl Grey. So I'm really into the whole beige, like muted sort of thing at the minute. I've never had a Max phone before. This is massive. Are the speakers louder on a Pro Max? Or, I don't know. I'll test it because I've got another phone. Okay, so while we're waiting for this thing to set up, let's just take a look at what's actually new with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The major thing being the fact that we now have USB-C. Being able to charge other devices from your iPhone, and not only that, being able to transfer data up to stupid speeds of 10 gigabits per second. And then not only that, I mean, it's one cable that charges everything now. It charges your iPad, it charges your AirPods, and it also charges your PlayStation controller, your Xbox controller. Literally anything nowadays is USB-C. So it just makes everything just that one step easier. Now we've just got to go through a weird phase where we've now got to phase out all the lightning stuff. You've now got to get USB-C port car chargers and things like that, unless you charge wirelessly. Because let's face it, I'm going to struggle to fit this in pockets, and we're going to test that out in this video. While it's updating, why don't we test it out now? I'm wearing pretty baggy trousers right now, so let's see if I can fit. This is the iPhone 14 Pro, and that goes in nice and snug. It's not popping out the top or anything like that, it's fine. But the 15 Pro Max, due to that size difference, let's see if that goes in there. And it's literally just brimming the top of the pocket. I was wondering what they was going to do with this action button, considering now they've removed the silent mode. Turns out now that you just go down to your control center and just tap on mute, so it's a little bit finicky, but I mean, you can still set the action button to mute if you want to. Why not take advantage of the action button if it's an action button? Have Apple done some secret speaker upgrade that we don't know about? That's always one thing I like to check out, because they never want to say too much in the keynotes.
Hanging on something, anything.
That's loud. It's loud and it's clear.
Hanging on something, anything.
I don't know, there was something weird, there was something that, it was just tuned slightly different. I'm not an audiophile or anything like that, but there just seems like there's something tuned a little bit different in that speaker. Okay, so let's take a quick, brief look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max cameras. So talking about Apple ProRes log, now it wasn't very clear to me how to turn this on when I first opened the phone. What you got to do to turn on the log is go into your settings, go to the camera, go to formats, scroll down to ProRes encoding, it'll say HDR, click on that and select log. Then you'll start recording in that flat profile, which will allow you to color grade much easier. So now that that bit's out of the way, let's take a look at some of the images from this. Now, unfortunately, it's raining outside, so I don't really fancy going out and getting a brand new phone wet, even though technically it's 6 meters for 30 minutes. I don't fancy it. So I have a Lego Statue of Liberty here, and it's got a fair few tiny little pieces on it. So being able to take a photo of that, you'll be able to see a lot of the detail that's in this Lego. So on the 15 Pro, 14 Pro, and let's have a look at them side by side. Now immediately, looking at these two images, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is definitely a lot more naturally sharp, and that's thanks to the fact that we're now using 24 megapixel photos as the standard as opposed to 12 megapixels standard. Also, there's a bunch of more stuff going on like Smart HDR5, which you can see on the front of Statue of Liberty's dress. Like on the 15 Pro Max, it's a slad tight lighter than it is on the 14 Pro. So far, I'd prefer the iPhone 15 Pro Max's image, but it's not that far off from the 14 Pro. But let's face it, we're all here for one thing. We want to see what it looks like on the 5x zoom camera. Let's go 3x versus the 5x, and then let's have a look at the ProRes footage. Got the 3x on the 14 Pro, 5x on the 15 Pro. I don't know about you, but I just love a telephoto lens. My favorite photos I've ever taken are with a 70-200 from Canon. I just love the fact that Apple's mushed a 120mm lens into this thing. Having a just naturally sharp telephoto lens rather than a grainy digital zoom is just my favorite. It's my favorite lens on the phone. This is a telephoto lens. Now this right now is set at 70mm. Set it at 120 and it's this big. Yeah, that's the size of the lens for a proper camera, and Apple have shoved it into that thin little bump on there. That is crazy. Of course, not only being a 5x zoom, it is also ridiculously clear. It's fantastic. It's a 2x larger sensor than on the telephoto lens of the 14 Pro. It's also got the 3-axis sensor shift, like the sensor will move to accommodate for any hand movement or anything like that, so you get a nice, stable picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up where I normally set my normal camera up, and let's see how good it looks in ProRes log. Who knows, I might be swapping out my full-time camera for an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I should do that for a month, maybe a week. So this is me filming on the iPhone 15 Pro Max in ProRes log, 4K, 24 frames per second. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you think this looks. I'm also using the audio from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Actually, I think it's rather fitting that we end the video using the iPhone 15 Pro Max as our main camera. If you want to see a full in-depth comparison between the iPhone 14 Pro, maybe even the iPhone 13 Pro, or just an in-depth review of the cameras themselves of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, just let me know in the comments. So if you do want to see that video, make sure you turn on notifications, like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff you already love to do. I will see you in the next one. Civvy.